This year's Veterans Day Parade marks the centennial of America's entry into the First World War in 1917. The U.S. Air Force is the featured service branch here at the Veterans Day Parade this year, with Grand Marshal Buzz Aldrin leading over 40,000 vets, active personnel, and others up Fifth Avenue.
This is Billy Hart, Vietnam veteran, and we're here at Veterans Day, November the 11th. It's the 100th anniversary of the United States entry into World War I, which was 1917. It was originally called Armistice Day, the end of World War I, which was November the 11th, 1918. However, in 1954, President Eisenhower changed it to honoring all veterans. No longer Armistice Day, but honoring all veterans of all wars. World War II, Korean War, and yes, later on, the Iraqi War and Afghanistan. And even as we speak today, our servicemen are in harm's way defending our way of life and democracy. And we all know well, being a veteran myself, that freedom does not come cheap. This is Billy Hart, United States Navy, Vietnam War.
With this Dominick Yezzo from the Vietnam War. Could you, first of all, I see you're very well decorated. Explain a little bit about these decorations.
Well, I was with the 1st Air Cavalry Division, which was the division of the United States Army, which was redesigned for deployment and combat in Vietnam. It was air mobile. And so one of the things that I received was an air medal, which I'm very proud of, for flying at least 25 missions during the Vietnam War. And while there, I served in G5 of the 1st Air Cavalry Division as Civil Affairs Psychological Operations officiant. And what we did was we dropped leaflets over battle sites and captured rice and delivered it to persons in the villages. Went out with veterans, and we inoculated the livestock for the persons. We were part of the Hearts and Minds Club, and so I was out and about in Vietnam a lot, and sometimes it was less than friendly.
Yeah, it was a very controversial war in its way.
I think every war is controversial. I think all wars are hard, very hard, and at our level, at the soldiers' level, the war leaves us with a scar, a moral bruise, some collateral damage, which PTSD and TBI are the results of. And it's what I do. I serve the young veterans who return through the strength of the Vietnam Veterans of America. If you come back from combat, you come back with a head full of broken glass. You're a mess. And sometimes, if you don't have a family structure or a structure that's supportive on your return, it's easy to make a bad decision, especially if you suffer from traumatic brain injury or post-traumatic stress. And it's those that I want to save one at a time. So we have established several veterans treatment courts, which are special courts only to veterans who have suffered from PTSD and TBI. And if those veterans who have made a mistake because of the wounds of war enter into the court system, we want to protect those from a life of incarceration or worse.
And where, if somebody is feeling that they have a problem, where should they go? Down to the VA, Veterans?
You can contact the Department of Veterans Services in New York City. If you live in New York City, you can certainly call me at the Vietnam Veterans of America. I'd be happy to help anyone. You can contact any of the Veterans Service officers. There's help there. Many are unwilling to ask for help, but the help is available.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. And hey, what's Veterans Day mean to you?
It means it's a time to honor what we suffered. It's a time to join back to the community that we suffered for, and it's a time to celebrate what we are. This is the best of what we are. All here, the men and women who fight the war are the men and women in your community, and they're all here. It's a joy. The older I get, the more meaningful this is to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your service, and welcome home. Thank you, veterans.
Welcome home, everyone. Thank you.
Welcome home. Happy Veterans Day 2017. With us is
Ernie Rojas, Army, Marical Division, 11th Brigade, Vietnam 68-69, proud vet. The war was very unpopular, but we're here to celebrate it with our fellow veterans.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. And next to you?
Hi there, the name is Freddie Clement, USN, USMC, 66 to 69. I-Corps. I did 2 tours in Laos and Cambodia. I was in the Brownwater Navy, and with the grace of God, I'm still here, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm here in New York to celebrate this day with my fellow veterans. Thank you very much.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
You enlisted.
In Honolulu, I enlisted. I was in the Navy for 2 years, and I was drafted out of the Navy and put into the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps didn't have anybody to drive riverboats. That's how I wound up in Cambodia and Laos. So it was pretty interesting. But I was too young to die, mentally, and I'm still here.
With the grace of God.
Welcome home, and thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Hey, next to you, who
Yes.
do we have here?
Yes, I was in Vietnam, U.S. Air Force, Da Nang 68-69, 366 Tactical Fighter Wing. I enlisted back in '66, and it was a very traumatic experience. They called Da Nang Rocket City, and we were getting rocketed virtually every night. And we had a rocket hit the barracks next to us and wiped out 103 of my friends. And I suffer from PTSD, and I attend PTSD group meetings every Friday with my fellow veterans, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you had me.
And your name?
Ronald Hunter.
Ronald, well, welcome home, and thank you for your service. And that sounds traumatic, just listening to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And sir, who do we have here?
Corporal William Myowitz. I served with 1st Battalion, 4th Marines in Vietnam, 66-67. I would like to say hello and salute all the Marines that served with me at the DMZ in 66-67 at Jolin, Cantien, Cam-Lo, Rockville, and Hue, also outside Hue, close to Asho Valley. I would say thank you for for this opportunity for me to talk to you.
Thank you, and welcome home, and thank all the veterans. Happy Veterans Day.
All the veterans that served in Vietnam, we're glad to be here. And a personal salute to all the men that fought so bravely, but we lost them. I feel bad about it, you know, real bad.
Well, welcome home, and thank you, veterans, and thank everyone that's actively serving right now, protecting this great country. Thank you.
Veterans Day to me is the gathering of all those that were able to come home with the Lord's grace. And we get to see each other, nice and old, but surviving. And it's a good camaraderie thing. We're happy. We're all happy.
And you were in the Vietnam War,
That's
and what branch of the service?
United States Navy, brown water.
Any advice to
The younger,
Yes.
go to college
Go to college.
and become a communications degree or speech pathology like my other daughter.
Did you enlist or?
I enlisted, yes.
You enlisted?
They didn't have to call me, I enlisted. Right out of high school.
Oh, wow, that's sort of
Samuel
an.
Gompers Electrical High School in the Bronx. Everybody know that. They have a ship named after Samuel Gompers, the first person with unions. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. AD 37, USS Samuel Gompers. Not bad.
Well, thank you for your service.
Hey,
And your
thank
name
you.
again?
Stan Wright.
Stan Wright.
Stan Wright.
Thank you. You know, you enlisted, and it wasn't a very popular war. What made you make that decision?
Well, Daddy told me to survive World War II. He said, son, go and do your service to the country. Lord willing, he'll bring you home like he brought me home, and you're going to be all right. And that's all I did. My dad and I went. I enlisted. You trust in God first, then your parents, and you go do what has to be done. And it had to be done, so we just did our part, basically, you know. So, enlisting is cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over here now.
Hello, Kristal.
Your name?
Laurence Lynch.
And
I know.
Vietnam, and tell me what branch of the service?
Yeah, Army. I was in 68, 69. Yeah. 25th Division.
And what does Veterans Day mean to you?
It means everything. It's a very special day. You know, meeting with the guys that I lost over there in the war, so this is a very special day for me. Always has and always will be. Yeah.
Well, welcome home, and I'm glad you're with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Happy Veterans Day.
All right,
thank
thank you,
you.
Kristal.
Thanks, everyone, for your service.
Okay.
My name is Arthur A. Franklin Sr. I was in the 4th Infantry Division, Army, 1969-1970. And I thank God for being here and being around all the service guys that I was in Vietnam with. I'm in a Vietnam group for 26 years up in 23rd Street VA Medical Center. In Vietnam, I was in Pleiku, On K, LZO Aces, Khartoum, and you know, I feel for the guys that, you know, that didn't come back with me, guys that had a camaraderie with. You know, it's a blessing to be here around other veterans like I am. You know, Vietnam, you know, learned a whole lot. You know, and I always think about the guys that didn't come back, the guys that got the Purple Hearts that never knew about it. You know, you know, you know, I think about how my group has been an inspiration to me. You know, a lot of guys have Agent Orange. I do also. That's not here. You know, guys like veterans like my man here, my brother. We grew up around the same area together. My brother here. You know what I mean? Another Marine right here. You know. Listen, we served. We all served. Yeah. We all served. You know, it's a blessing to be here. You know, it's a real blessing, and I thank you for being with us. You know.
Your hands must be cold.
Yes, yes. So I'll let you put the gloves on. God bless America.
Say some words for me.
My name is Westley Thomas, USMC 1965 to 1969, 2 tours in Vietnam from 1966 to 68, 1st Marine Air Wing, Da Nang, and some other location. And this is my wife, Yvonne.
More than happy to be here today to support my Vietnam veteran husband, and it is always a pleasure. We support, we are the families.
Semper Fi, happy belated Marine Corps birthday and happy Veterans Day. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to come out and enjoy the things that we put our lives on the line for, serving our country. And we should get a lot of respect for what we do for this country. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
Happy Veterans Day to everyone. My name is Dominick Yezzo. I serve with the Vietnam Veterans of America as the Veterans Incarcerated and Veterans in the Justice System chairperson. And what we try to do is recognize that many veterans come with an injury which is deeper than the wounds of the war. Their moral injuries, the collateral damage has bruised our souls. And many young veterans are there for us to serve, because we understand what it's like to come back from Vietnam, from war, with a head full of broken glass. Some of those young soldiers unfortunately make a bad decision because they have PTSD and TBI, and we try to save them one at a time. Thank you for being here. God bless everybody, and God bless you both.
My name is Lana Noone. I represent the families of the Vietnam Babylift of 1975, when over 2,000 Vietnamese war orphans were evacuated to from Vietnam in April of 1975 by our military and civilians. And many of those children had what would now be our Vietnam veterans as birth fathers and Vietnamese birth mothers. They were adopted in the United States. I have the Vietnam Babylift website, and we also have the play called Children of the April Rain, which we've done at several locations as a staged reading about the children and about the story of the Babylift. This is our quilt. The quilt was handmade. It's by remnants of clothing worn by the children. And my granddaughter has the t-shirt that has the logo art called Missing Piece by Jared Redberg. That's logo art for the play Children of the April Rain. These are my grandchildren, Heather Noone and Jaden Noone. And we're here today to thank the Vietnam veterans for all they did to save the lives of those children. Well, our t-shirt represents the Vietnam Babylift of 1975, when over 2,500 Vietnamese war orphans were evacuated to the United States by our military and civilians who were in Vietnam. And many of those children had mothers who were Vietnamese, but their fathers were what would be today Vietnam veterans.
With us, Nick Martinez, a Marine, and tell us what wars you were in?
I was in both Iraq and Afghanistan.
And I hear that you were deployed 4 times. Could you elaborate a little on that?
I went to Iraq and then I went to Afghanistan. I was able to mix in with the culture. I was able to learn the language, so they definitely utilized that a lot. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I went a bunch of times just to make sure that I can keep peace with the local nationals and keep that good communications with hearts and minds while I was in.
Was this in Iraq or Afghanistan?
Both Iraq and Afghanistan, yes.
Do they speak the same language?
No, they do not, no.
Oh, so you learned both languages.
Yeah, traditional Arabic and Farsi and Pashto.
And what do you think about the situation? Can we have some type of peace, you think, in the future?
One could hope. I don't want to be a pessimist, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But we could hope and we could work for that. I don't think any more bodies need to hit the ground for it, though. It could definitely be something that can be done a little bit more politically if we decide to want to work hand in hand for once.
And you're well decorated here. Could you go through these?
Yeah, thank you very much. These are my mini medals. This one is for serving. This one's for Iraq, and this one's for Afghanistan. This one is for global war on terrorism. That one is for the same thing, global war on terrorism expeditionary, and that is for ISAF for serving in Afghanistan as well. Under NATO.
What's the global war of terrorism?
Global war on terrorism is, it's the war that we're in right now, the global war on terrorism against, all enemies, foreign and domestic, to make sure that, they don't come on our land, on our seas,
And your birth date? Give us that date. This is a special man here.
Yeah, my birthday's on Christmas. So again, my name is Nicholas, so it's more of a namesake than anything. But I'd like to think that I feel that. I'd love to help people out, host, make sure that people are getting what they need. So if I could do that every day, at least once a day, then I'm pretty happy myself.
And I'm so glad you're home and all in one piece. I think that's just the worst part is so many people come back and mangled and.
Yeah, there's wounds that are real, and there's wounds that are superficial wounds and mental wounds and physical wounds as well. That they all culminate, and as long as we can be there for one another and be there for each other as people, indifferent of the traumas that we've had, because everybody has traumas. We can just look out for one another and be there for each other. So.
And you're quite young. How old are you?
I'll be 30 this year.
Oh, okay. So you went over. You were very young.
Yeah, I joined when I was 17. I had my 18th birthday in Iraq and my 21st birthday in Afghanistan. So it's a familiar thing for me not to have to really worry about my birthday, especially being in the wake of Christmas. Everybody tends to forget about you, so it's nothing new.
Well, welcome back. I'm so glad
Thank you so much.
home.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy Veterans Day, everyone.
Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Before we end, what are you doing now?
Right now, I built a mobile hair salon and barbershop in an Airstream trailer, and I've been traveling across the country, going to different military bases, hospitals, anywhere that I can go that anybody needs any help. And we just do free haircuts for people and just make them feel good and boost their confidence and also help them transition into being civilians again. So I'm pretty excited about doing that. It's something that I've been very blessed to do since I was a very young age, which is making people feel good and helping their confidence. And I'm just glad that I can do that on a daily basis.
And becoming a civilian, again, sometimes that there's a process.
Yeah, there's a process in itself that there's no books really written for it. You just kind of have to go through it and find the mentorship of other veterans and families that have been through things and just learn and just take it all in, by osmosis. It's the best way to learn.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for your support,
Happy
ma'am. I appreciate
Veterans
it.
Day!
Happy Veterans Day.
I'm Billy Hart, and I'm here on 5th Avenue, November the 11th, Veterans Day.
Okay, it's Veterans Day. Say Happy Veterans Day, everyone.
Happy Veterans Day, everybody.
And what service were you in?
Excuse me, I didn't.
And what service were you in?
Marine Corps.
And what war?
Vietnam.
Vietnam era U.S. Army medic.
Vietnam, 68, 69, U.S. Army.
Gained Brock in the United States Marine Corps, 68, 69.
And any stories that anybody wants to talk about?
The only one I got to say is I made it home. I'm thankful for that.
I'm glad I made it home.
Glad I made it back to the world, as we called it in Vietnam, being back home.
Well, I'm glad I made it back to see all the people and wish all my friends and everybody, all my family, a nice, happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day, everyone.
And I want to say one more thing. I want to say happy birthday to all the Marines. Yesterday was our birthday, Marine Corps birthday.
Oh, how many years?
What is it?
204 years to the Marines. Happy birthday, Marine.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Air Force is this year's featured service with Grand Marshal Buzz Aldrin, leading 40,000 vets, active duty personnel, and others up Fifth Avenue. Buzz Aldrin is the second man to walk on the moon and is an Air Force veteran of the Korean War. And I'm Kristal Hart reporting on the 2017 Veterans Day Parade. I want to thank all veterans and all those who are actively serving in our military. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice. I hope everyone's enjoyed the show, and thank a veteran today.